In recent years, the Netherlands developed a strategy for innovation of the fisheries sector. The overall goal of this strategy is to support a sustainable and more profitable development of North Sea fisheries. This Dutch approach, as we call it, consists of three pillars. Firstly, there's the Fisheries Innovation Platform, which acts as a selection committee for innovation pilot. But it also stimulates debate about the future of fisheries and through that increases the awareness amongst fishermen. Then there are the fishery study groups. In these groups, fishermen and fish farmers exchange their knowledge with each other, but also with researchers and with other experts. And then the third pillar, the use of the European Fisheries Fund, specifically for innovation and pilot projects. Admittedly, this Dutch approach is quite a challenging concept, but from the start, literally hundreds of projects applied for subsidy. In 5 years' time, 200 projects received a contribution from the fund. In this short film, we can only show you a few examples of these projects, but it will give you an idea of how innovation is changing Dutch fishery to become more sustainable. The Dutch fishing industry has always had a large interest in European flatfish fisheries. Traditionally, this kind of fishery used the standard beam trawl with tickler chains. Beam trawl fishing is subject to much criticism, mainly because of the ecological impact. In addition, the costs of this fishing technique are high due to the ship's fuel consumption. This has prompted fishermen to seek alternatives for the beam trawl. A very important development is the pulse trawl. It is designed to make sole, plaice and turbot come free from the seabed by releasing weak electric pulses. The ecological advantages are numerous. Less fishing effort in the standard fishing areas, less seabed disturbance and less discards. On top of that, the gear reduces the amount of fuel with 50% and provides higher quality fish. The pulse technique is also applied to several other gears. The Samwing is one example, a wing-shaped beam that glides above the sand like the wing of an aeroplane. An adapted beam trawl fit with aquaplaning gear shoes in which the special design produces upward pressure which results in considerable less seabed disturbance. The hover crane, a special lightweight application of the pulse technique developed for the brown shrimp fishery. Other projects are based on adaptations of the beam trawl without using the pulse technique but still aimed at diminishing ecological pressure and saving fuel. The sea wing, in which the beam trawl for shrimp fishery has been adjusted using a wing-shaped beam and wheels in the shoes. Through the adapted net design, the bobbins roll over the seabed with less ecological impact as a result. The hydro rig is aerodynamically shaped, reducing its friction resistance in water and fitted with open half bowls, catching the current to bow it downwards. The idea is to pull fish from the seabed, eliminating the need for tickler chains. In the fishery study groups, fishermen came up with ideas to adjust the netting designs. With one of these adjustments, they succeeded in getting rid of unwanted benthic organisms underwater. The positive results: less bycatch, better chance of survival and less work for the crew. Up until now, we've looked at the fishery itself. Now we'll have a look at the other links in the fishery supply chain. Innovation policy doesn't only focus on fishing techniques on board of the vessels. It also aims at adding value to the product in the supply chain, which has become more market-driven than ever. A good example is the catch locator, which plays an important role in tracking and tracing. Traditionally, after the vessel has returned to the harbor, the fish is unloaded, sorted, weighed and sold. Using the catch locator, the fish is already sorted and weighed on board. Each crate is labeled with a sticker indicating all relevant data such as species, size, weight, catch location, date and time. In this way, the fish can be sold directly from the vessel and delivered to the buyer straight upon arrival. The cold chain doesn't have to be interrupted, which obviously increases the quality of the fish to the advantage of retailers and consumers. Innovation isn't limited to sea fisheries. In shellfish and fish farming, a lot has been achieved as well. Interesting examples are new forms of land-based shellfish culture and fish farming. Traditionally, the farming of mussels is done by means of seabed culture, on which each farmer has its own plots. Population of these plots takes place by sowing the mussel seed that has been fished from the seabed. However, this dredging fishing method raises ecological questions and is therefore exposed to public criticism. Also, there's a strong dependency on the availability of mussel seed. To compensate this, a part of the fishing of mussel seed takes place by off-bottom mussel culture, catching the larvae, settling on so-called seed mussel collectors. This development was the outcome of an agreement between several NGOs, the mussel industry and the government. Two long-line techniques have been developed. One using ropes, another one using nets. At the same time, new machinery for harvesting the mussel seed was necessary to be able to use the new techniques. In the end, it's the result that counts. Seed mussel collectors can't replace seabed fishery yet, but we can see a continuous production of mussel seed, which is an important aspect, certainly in years where relatively small amounts of mussel seed are found on the seabed. A few mussel farmers have taken the step from seabed farming to off-bottom mussel culture systems. This involves placing seed mussels in stockings attached to vertically suspended ropes where they can grow out to market-sized mussels. These farmers develop techniques for automatic filling of the stockings and easy harvesting. Another alternative for seabed farming is land-based production. Shellfish spat and seed are produced and cultivated under fully controlled circumstances in a so-called hatchery. When they have reached the right age, they transform to outdoor cultures. The necessary algae used to feed different types of juvenile shellfish are produced in an integrated part of the hatchery. A new development in aquaculture is the pilot project Zeeland Soul. Zeeland Soul is an integrated fish farm project on land. The sole is cultivated along with ragworms, algae, shellfish, for example manila clams, and sea crops. It takes place in an integrated aquaculture system, also known as polyculture. This is a nutrient-neutral system, and as an extra benefit, the ponds fit in with the landscape planning. When the pilot is ended towards the end of 2013, the technical and economic feasibility of this new concept will be known. Zeeland Soul is a good example of the Dutch approach of innovation, the cooperation between industry, science and government, also known as the Golden Triangle. The reproduction of eel depends on successful breeding of silver eel. Silver eels travel 6,000 kilometers from their habitat in West European countries to the Sargasso Sea near the Caribbean, which is their natural spawning area. The produced larvae undertake a long journey back, during which they encounter many threats before they turn into elvers and arrive in European waters. Many scientists all over the world are studying the possibilities to reproduce elvers in controlled circumstances. However, this is one of the most difficult issues in the fish farming industry. Scientists of Leiden University have been successful in producing larvae using silver eels in fish tanks. In the tanks, the journey to the Sargasso Sea is simulated, letting the eels swim for a long time and bringing them up to spawning condition. The challenge after spawning and harvesting the larvae is to feed them. The Volendam glasaal enterprise is studying this issue, and the scientists are optimistic to find the right plankton, also called marine snow. If this succeeds, the way is open for producing elvers for a worldwide market. Fishermen of the freshwater Lake IJssel have found a way to separate the bycatch of their eel fishery. Their system works with sieves and horizontal and vertical water currents. Almost all unwanted bycatch is discarded from the vessel without any human intervention. The latest innovation is the application of the system to the brown shrimp fishery. It not only separates fish, but also unwanted crabs. Another project on Lake IJssel involves fishermen and teachers cooperating in giving young pupils biology lessons on board of a fishing vessel. They experience the proximity of marine species such as fish and crabs, and at the same time learn how fishermen operate and take care of their environment. This approach proves to be very successful. Children, teachers and fishermen alike rave about this way of education close to nature. The climate of innovation in the Dutch fishing industry is changing. The Netherlands will continue their innovation strategy, but in the end, it's up to the fishermen and everyone else working in the sector. The examples you have just seen prove that if you support and encourage fishermen in making real changes and exploring possibilities, they will continue to take up the challenge for a sustainable and more profitable future met by public acceptance.